I'm about to show you the most terrifying king in all of history. Seriously, other kings were tough, but this guy was on another level. To his enemies, he wasn't just a man, he was a demon whose cruelty was insane. But to his own people, he was a hero who saved his country with unbelievable fury. He got his famous nickname from his favorite way to execute people, and today we're going to find out why they called him Vlad the Impaler. I want you to picture a forest, but instead of trees, it's 20,000 stakes. And on every single one is an impaled body, left as a warning to the biggest empire in the world. One man did this. So was he a total monster, or was he a hero pushed to the absolute limit? His story is so crazy, it inspired the legend of Dracula. But trust me, the true story is 1,000 times more insane than any movie. To understand how he became a legend, you have to see the insane world that made him. It all starts here, in Transylvania, where Vlad was born. His dad was named Dracula, which meant the dragon, because he was in a secret group of knights called the Order of the Dragon, sworn to fight the Ottoman Empire. So when Vlad came along, they called him Dracula, which literally just means son of the dragon. Little did they know that name would become terrifying. Back then, his country, Wallachia, was stuck between two superpowers. To save his own skin, Vlad's dad did something unbelievable. He gave his own two sons, Vlad and his little brother Radu, to his enemies, the Ottomans, as hostages. Can you imagine? For years, Vlad was a prisoner in the heart of the empire he was supposed to hate. He learned about war and power right next to the Sultan's own kids. But he also saw how cruel the Ottomans were to keep control. His brother Radu just went with it, but not Vlad. He was angry, he fought back, and he was punished for it. This is where his rage started. He was learning exactly how to use fear, and he would never forget it. And while Vlad was a hostage, things got even worse. Back home, his own nobles betrayed his dad and older brother and had them murdered in the most brutal way possible. They say his brother was blinded with red-hot metal and then buried alive. When Vlad heard this, he completely snapped. These guys didn't just take his throne, they took his family. From that moment on, he had only one goal: get his throne back and get revenge. His first try failed after just a few months. He spent the next 8 years planning his comeback. Finally, in 1456, he came back with an army, killed the guy on his throne, and took over. This wasn't just about being king anymore. This was a revenge mission. He knew that to stay in power, he couldn't just rule the nobles who betrayed his family. He had to destroy them. He was going to make them so scared they would never betray anyone ever again. The second he got power, Vlad started his revenge tour. This next part is legendary. He invited all the nobles who betrayed his family to a giant feast. In the middle of dinner, his soldiers surrounded them. He asked them, "How many kings have you guys seen come and go?" And they started bragging about it. That was their last mistake. What Vlad did next is insane. He grabbed all the older nobles and impaled them right there. The younger ones? He forced them to work on his castle until they literally died. This is when he perfected his signature move, impalement. It was a slow, painful death designed to be a warning to everyone. We're talking people suffering for hours or even days. He would do this to anyone who challenged him, nobles, criminals, anyone. But it gets crazier. He hated anything he thought made his country weak. One story says he invited all the poor and sick people to a massive party, gave them a huge meal, and then he locked the doors and burned the building to the ground. He actually said he was cleansing the land. He also demanded perfect honesty. He put a solid gold cup in the middle of town and said anyone could drink from it, but no one could steal it. For his entire time as king, nobody ever touched the cup. That's how terrified they were of him. Vlad was just as brutal with his enemies as he was with his own people. In 1462, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II the guy who conquered Constantinople, sent a massive army of over 100,000 soldiers to destroy him. Vlad only had about 30,000 guys. He knew he couldn't win a normal battle, so he decided to play dirty. As the massive army marched in, they found nothing. Vlad had burned all his own villages and poisoned every well. He was starving them out with surprise attacks day and night. Then he pulled off his most insane stunt ever, the night attack. Vlad himself, dressed up like an enemy soldier, snuck into their main camp with a small team and tried to assassinate the Sultan in his tent. They caused total chaos and killed thousands of soldiers but couldn't get to the Sultan. But even though he failed, Vlad had one more surprise. When the Sultan's army finally got to Vlad's capital city, they didn't find an army. They found a nightmare. For miles, they saw a forest of impaled bodies. Thousands and thousands of rotting corpses of their own soldiers. The legendary number is 20,000. The sight was so messed up that the Sultan himself, a guy who had seen everything, turned his army around and went home. But even after that epic win, it was the beginning of the end. His own allies got sick of how brutal he was and threw him in prison. He made one last comeback years later, but was killed in battle. They say they cut off his head and sent it to the Sultan just to prove the Impaler was finally gone. If you think this story is absolutely insane, smash that like button and subscribe right now. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss the next crazy history video we're going to drop. So what's the final verdict on Vlad the Impaler? Was he a psycho monster or a hero who did whatever it took to save his country? It's crazy because in Romania today, many people see him as a national hero who fought a giant empire and won. They say his insane cruelty was the only way to survive. But everywhere else in the world, his name means one thing: Dracula. The guy who wrote the Dracula book, Bram Stoker, just found the name and a few crazy facts about Vlad and ran with it. The vampire story is mostly made up, but it made Vlad famous forever as the ultimate bad guy. The truth is, Vlad was a product of his insane times. He learned about terror from his enemies and then used it better than anyone else. He was a hero and a villain, a savior and a monster. It all leads to one final question for you guys. If you have to fight monsters, do you have to become a monster to win?